Welcome back to map training. So we are going to go click on that online tools training again. Only today we are going to click on mathematics. Just like yesterday, you're going to click on the grade in which you are currently in. So 6th graders, again, you are going to click grade 6. 7th grade clicks grade 7, and 8th graders, you're going to click grade 8. This example, I'm going to use grade 7. Again, you'll see that username and password page pop up, and we are going to use that mock username and password that they gave us and type that in, but we know that on the actual map test, you'll have a slip of paper that has your username and password on it, given to you by your teacher. So we're going to continue, and for math, you'll see there are 2 sessions. Session 1 has a variety of different types of questions, and session 2 is your performance event. This would be more of a written response. So we are going to click session 1 for this video. It would be nice if you tried out both sessions though. Then you wouldn't have any surprises for the actual map test. So we're going to click next. And again, it's going to feel like a lifetime clicking through all of these, but we're going to go through all of the tools that they are talking about here in this video, so there's no need to read them. And finally, you will click Begin Test. So your first question pops up, and we have a lot of the same tools as yesterday, like the highlighting, the highlighter to highlight those important things you might need to solve the problem. You have the sticky notes if you want to type something out. You'll also be given a paper to show your work on if you need. And so the sticky note is there, but if you really feel like you need to write something down or to start solving that problem, you don't need to do it on the sticky note. You can do it on that piece of scratch paper. You have that line guide again, and then you'll see a few extra tools. So here we have the calculator, we have the basic and the scientific. The basic is pretty much like the name. You are given your 4 operations, and then you're given that fraction button and your square root symbol. So super basic calculator that we all know how to use, but similar to big ideas, you're able to type in a calculate or a fraction if you need it. And then it gives you that as a decimal. Keep in mind, if you do type in a fraction, the last number is never accurate because it rounds. So it could say that there's a 7 there, but really we know that 2/3 means that that 6 repeats forever and ever and ever. So that's something to keep in mind when doing your math test. Then if you click that scientific one, we're given more functions. And so here you have your exponents, you have your roots, you have absolute value, again you have your fractions, and then your basic operations. You also have a graphing tool, in which is Desmos. 8th graders will most likely use this more, but you can type in an equation and it'll graph it for you. So if you need to see what your y-intercept is, then you can type in that equation and then find your y-intercept, or whatever the question might be asking. Super nice tool to have. Everybody needs to know where this button is. This is our reference sheet. When you click on that, your reference sheet pulls up. At the top, we have our conversions, so you can convert between different types of units. And then if you scroll down, you can see grade level, figure, and formula. So 6th graders, you would not be using something that only has an 8 or a 7/8 next to it. You will never need those formulas. 8th graders, you have a few more formulas that you could potentially see on the map test. And so those are down at the bottom. Really nice you have those, linear equations. So you have your slope-intercept form and then your standard form, as well as your Pythagorean theorem, your sphere. And then 7th graders, you are going to use only the formulas that have a 7 in there. So You will never use a formula on this paper that does not match the grade that you are in. So again, 7th grade and 6th grade would never need to find the volume of a sphere. So to type in your answer, you will just click on that box, and you can use this little keypad here, or you can just use the numbers on your actual keypad of your computer. Backspace is also a thing that you can use on your computer. You don't necessarily need to click on the buttons at the top. You will see different types of questions on this test, all of which are similar to the ones that you could potentially see on the map test. So on the last one, you had a fill in the blank. On this one, we have multiple choice, which means that we can use our handy dandy cross off tool and cross off those ones that we know might be extremely wrong. And then you're left with the two that it could potentially be. You have that flag button still, so that way it reminds you at the end to come back to that question. If it's one that you want to come back and check your answer to, or maybe it's one that you skipped and you were like, I'm going to come back to it later. You might also see things like this, which would be checking the box. So in this example, it's determining whether they are like terms or not. So you would just check the box that applies. You might have matching. The matching one's a little bit tricky. You got to click it first and then click the one that it goes to. So if you mess up, you can hit that erase button and then do it over again. But this one, for example, is asking you to turn a fraction into a decimal, in which we have our handy dandy calculator. And you get your calculator on every single section this year. That is new. And so that is something that you could use, should use. It is your friend. You might also have things such as graphing, which you would plot your points. If you plot it in the wrong place, you just hit that eraser. So like I said, there's a ton of different questions that you could potentially see similar ones to on the map test, which means that this is great practice and you won't have any surprises, and you'll know how to work all of it and all of the tools, and you're going to be super successful because of it. So we want you to go and try it on your own and play around with it, get to know this program, and set yourself up for success on that map test.